Good afternoon. It is December 14, 2025, and it is a Sunday. Here in Sherbrooke, it is currently negative 7 degrees Celsius, 20 degrees Fahrenheit. The sun this morning rose at 7:19 a.m., and it will set at 4:05 p.m. I think this is the first time in a few days that I've done a weather report while the sun was still up. But notice that today the sun is not setting at 4:04 p.m., it is setting at 4:05 p.m., but that does not mean that the days are not getting shorter, because the days are getting shorter, but not for much longer. The winter solstice is coming up in like a week, I think. Today, I woke up a little bit late. Drank a little too much last night. But now I'm going to go play Magic the Gathering with some of my friends. I'm going to do a draft. I mentioned that I had stopped playing Modern and stopped playing Magic on the internet, which I've held strong to. But this is different. Nobody's spending any money. I'm just going to redraft with some old cards. And it's going to be a fun social activity with my friends. Tomorrow morning, I'm going off to Drummondville with one of the friends that I'm playing this draft with. We have to be there at 9 a.m. However, we're starting this draft fairly early, in about 50 minutes, and I gotta hurry up. I got a couple things to do before going over to my friend's house. However, tomorrow morning, we're not going to be working for very long, I don't think. I think it's going to take about 2 hours, which sort of sucks to do 2 hours of to drive 1 hour to work, 2 hours to drive another hour back. I don't know why it took me so long to get that sentence together. My stomach is a little bit upset. Digestion is not great today. I need to eat something else to make it through the rest of the day. I don't know what, I don't really have any food at home. I guess that's that. Today I'm thinking about John Frusciante. I mentioned a few days ago that I was thinking about John Frusciante, but I'd already talked about the song that I wanted to mention. But then I'm thinking about Enter a by John Frusciante. I was going to talk about a song from To Record Only Water for 10 Days, released in 2001, which, I don't know, it's sort of like a 2001 theme recently. I talked about Aphex Twin, Drugs from 2001, and then, before that, I talked about Yankee Hotel Foxtrot, which was not released in 2001, but was supposed to be released in 2001. Anyway, but I'm not thinking about that. I'm actually thinking about Smile from the Streets You Hold, which is his second album, solo album. But an album that has been out of print for a very long time, because, as John Frusciante put it himself, the only reason why he released that album was because he wanted money for drugs. John Frusciante had a very severe drug addiction in the 90s, and this was just songs that he recorded while he was on drugs and agreed to release to get money for drugs. I was actually listening to, I was just looking for a video on YouTube containing the song so I could link it, and I saw Wind Up Space / Enter a Live, Wind Up Space being one of the songs from To Record Only Water for 10 Days, which is a great album that I will talk about at some point. I was like, holy shit, he played this live? It was actually just like him playing Wind Up Space, trying to play it, because it was requested by somebody in the audience, and then just not being able to get very far and saying, sorry, I don't remember it. And somebody yells, enter and he plays just like a few notes, and he's like, I don't remember. I was on drugs when I wrote this. And so, yeah, this album is quite challenging. The songs are long, and abrasive. He's screaming most of the time. One of the songs, very unfortunately, has a racial slur in the title, and that racial slur is repeated a lot throughout the song. And I guess this is like I was going to say the distillation of like the first phase of his solo output. However, I don't necessarily agree with that, because like at least with his debut album, Nyandra La Des, and usually just a t-shirt, it did have that sort of wild energy, but it was much more like tightly composed and brief when it came to the songs. I don't know, it was more coherent. The reason why I mentioned this song is that it's a very spiritual song. It's a very emotional and spiritual and like raw song, which I find quite beautiful. And I love the way it sort of like goes through all these different like movements. The sort of like opening riff, I think, is like really quite beautiful. It's a beautiful song, but like it's sort of tough to get through because it is like it's over 8 minutes. How long is it? Like 9 minutes? No, it's 8 minutes and 6 seconds. So it's 8 minutes, and he's just screaming the whole time. But yeah, I think it's a very powerful and beautiful song. I have no idea what he's saying, which was a feature of his early work. But yeah, definitely check it out. I can't say I necessarily recommend the album, like unless you really like what you heard in this is the opening track, by the way. Yeah, if you didn't like this, you're not going to get anything out of the album. And it's one of those things where it's like, sort of like, and these are totally different things, but one aspect, I think that, okay, so I'll make the parallel between this and A Crow Looked at Me, which is not, the reasons why these albums exist are totally different, and there's basically no similarities, other than the fact that these are albums that, like, I am glad to hear them, and I appreciate their beauty, but I wish they didn't exist, given this, they come out of very bad circumstances. Again, totally different circumstances. So yeah, it's like, I don't know. I really appreciate the beauty, but like, just I really wish they didn't exist. Okay, I need to finish getting ready. So later today, let's see. Ooh, it's gonna get chilly tonight. I'm gonna stay semi-cloudy till the sun sets, going down to negative 8 degrees Celsius, 18 degrees Fahrenheit. But then it's just gonna start dropping. Highlights are at around 7 p.m. It's gonna be negative 13 degrees Celsius, 9 degrees Fahrenheit, but might be some flurries of snow, a little bit of wind. That's leaving us off all the way down at negative 15 degrees Celsius, 5 degrees Fahrenheit, with that wind still being around. Would be 9 kilometers an hour with wind gusts of, 22 kilometers an hour. So not too bad, but a little bit of wind. And yeah, did not go out yet today. Didn't even really look outside, but it's been cloudy. But behind those clouds, I must believe that somewhere there are beautiful blue skies and golden sunshine all along the way. Everyone, have a great rest of your day and a great rest of your weekend. Goodbye.